Welcome to another edition of International Soccer Break. I'm your host, Sahil. I am here with Ishana, and we are going to be discussing a little CONCACAF W Gold Cup, which means the U.S. women's national team are back in action, and we're going to give you a reaction to the first match of the CONCACAF W Gold Cup. Ishana, what were your thoughts on this little match?
Well, first of all, there was some drama before the game even started. On the eve of the Gold Cup, Mia Fischel tears her ACL, and Alex Morgan has to come replace her last minute. I think that already set the tone. It's unfortunate what's happening with all these ACL injuries and, whether it's reformulating the cleats or figuring out what's happening, that's causing so many of these injuries. I think that might help the program overall. So wishing Mia Fischel speedy recovery. So then we get to the game. And I am pleasantly surprised. This is the first performance, I think, by the U.S. women's national team I've seen in a very long time where I'm like, okay, this is solid. I think it was a collaboration of choosing the squad, and I think Hayes obviously is showing, giving us a taste of only what's to come when she comes in May. And I thought the subs were great. Overall, it was just a really good game.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Yes, you're right. We all understand that it's some sort of collaboration between Twyla Kilgore and Emma Hayes behind the scenes because she's officially still with Chelsea. But this was a match where we saw a very interesting lineup, which a lot of the same players we saw during that debacle, we can say it now, of a World Cup, right? We saw a very different look, a very fresh look, and some great performances. Midge Purce. There's a couple other players that stood out, right?
Yeah, I think so first of all, I think based on that last friendly we saw with China, we saw Midge Purce, Korbin Albert really stick out, and their performances were great in this game. I'm loving seeing Emily Fox playing a little bit up. I think she is excellent, and she's only getting better. There's just so much more chemistry. It actually looks like they're playing as a unit rather than, sort of helter skelter running around the field with their chicken, like a chicken with their heads cut off. The only problem I'm still seeing is that we are not getting great shots on target. We must have missed so many. We could be more clinical. Obviously, against DR, we can do this, but with teams like England and Colombia and Sweden, we're gonna have to definitely be more clinical with our shots. But
Yeah.
standouts. Midge Purce, Albert, Coffee played great. Moultrie pretty clinical on the ball. Yeah, and I think it's helping the other players. Lynn Williams played better than she usually does. Sophia Smith had a better game than traditionally speaking. I liked the subs. I like Rodney coming on, Shaw. We got to kind of see a breath of everybody.
Yeah, it'll be interesting moving forward. Obviously, this was the weakest opponent, so to speak, with Dominican Republic, and a lot of credit to Dominican Republic and their women's football program. I think that's really improved from where it used to be. The U.S. last time we played them, it was 14-0, so this is a big improvement for the DR. But that being said, obviously, yes, the games are going to get harder in this tournament, and I think it's going to be interesting to see moving forward whether Kilgore goes with some of the previous players and brings some of them in. Obviously, Lindsay Horan didn't play this match, and Neil McGurmer didn't play. But I love seeing Midge Purce, and I want to make sure that, and Korbin Albert as well. I want to make sure that dynamic stays moving forward.
Yeah, they for me were the big difference, both of them, especially Midge Purce. And the US men had this problem back in 2018 when they're kind of trying to phase out the vets and, have this younger, fresher team. And I think the US, obviously, definitely the women struggled with this in the World Cup under Vladko's leadership. So I hope that they do not do that. And, this is a perfect example. This game, you're up 3-0, then you bring in Alex Morgan. She doesn't even take the first PK, she takes the second PK, which is like, okay, that's a proper kind of use of your vets, I think. And I think keeping her on the squad on reserve is a good idea. But I just hope that this is kind of more of an idea of who's going to be starting. As opposed to just trying to sort of go with the status quo.
Yeah. That's a big thing. I think regardless, it was a very good performance as an initial start to the tournament. I think we can all be very happy with that moving forward. And of course, we'll continue to cover the CONCACAF W Gold Cup, as they're calling it. I don't know why it's called W Gold Cup, but anyway, that's the official name of it. As it moves forward and gets into the games against Argentina and Mexico. Hey, Shauna, any last thoughts before we finish off this episode? About the performance.
The one thing I would say is, in general, I think VAR has introduced a new era of the soft PKs. I think that second one was definitely more of a PK. However, it is possible that Rodman kind of nudged her a little bit and she fell and that created it. But the first one especially, a step on the toe that's something I would say, unfortunately, this is consistent across the board. Men's, women's soccer, and it's just something we may have to deal with. But I feel like it creates a situation where a lot of these defenders feel like they can't even defend in the box, and that is not cool. And so we will see how that goes. I'm happy that the blue cards are not getting initiated quite yet. It's like a similar sort of thing of everybody trying to enforce a lot, but so that would be my only takeaway. I feel like, I think the goalie on the Dominican Republic was excellent, and I think that they deserved a little bit better in that arena. But obviously, I'm also happy with our women, and this is the first game I can leave being like, okay, this is a team I recognize historically and a team that I'm excited for the future.
Well, yeah, I think you said it exactly. After the disappointment of the last, World Cup and even the friendlies against China, we saw a lot in there where we weren't really happy. But this is the first time we can actually say, well done, U.S. Women's National Team. We'll continue to cover this tournament. Please go ahead if you're interested and subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell notification icon. We'll be back as we get into the U.S. Women's next match, and I can say it proudly today for the women. Go USA.